Andy.
And this is a podcast where we are kind of two former support workers kind of just chatting about adulting life over a cuppa. Now, Andy, it's the second episode that you've got no drink in your hand. I'm disappointed. I have got my big cup of coffee, which I'll just... Look how big mine is.
I'm going to say it's a show of my commitment to the recording process. Like, even though my drink is on the other side of the door, I've not
Yeah, but it's not a cuppa.
stopped.
You used to have coffee. What's happened?
It's just easier grabbing a can.
Okay, so we're talking... Right, okay. Maybe we should do an episode on laziness.
I have an episode on prioritization.
Fair. Anyway, how are you feeling today, Andy?
I am feeling interesting.
Interesting. Okay. Andy's sick. And so...
Fine.
Okay. No one believed that.
Yeah, I could have said that more convincing.
I had COVID last week, so it's only fair that you take it into
I've been waiting for you to say that out loud.
I have said it out loud.
I didn't hear. I've not heard you tell me you've had COVID last week.
You've not heard it? I texted it to you.
No, you said that you lost your taste.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure it's COVID.
Okay.
100%. Yeah. But there's two things...
But anyway,
moving on. Yes, COVID still exists. There's two things I kind of wanted to talk about, and it's before we get onto the theme.
Oh dear.
Topics today.
Okay.
And it's just about
If it isn't scripted, it could be anything. I'm a little bit nervous.
It's fine. It's just about how awesome women are, just generally. I was gonna say at the moment, but we're always awesome. Two things. The Swifties out there, Taylor Swift has just released her new album, and it is a bop. And those that don't like Taylor Swift, that's fine, but no hate. Come on, we don't like hate here. But the new album, I've had it stuck in my head until you sent me that link of Golden this morning. So Taylor Swift is rocking it with her new album, breaking records.
Before you move on,
yeah,
I have a confession to make about Taylor Swift. I was curious on album release day, so I listened to it on our Alexa at home.
It's good.
Without realising that it was just going to keep playing it on repeat. So I must listen to the album about 3 times, proper got into it, before I actually realised that. I was like, hold on a second, how long is this album?
Yeah, no, it's a good album.
Yeah, it's right good.
And I saw a video as well, because everyone was like, oh, it's just for teenage girls, blah, 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 blah.
No, it isn't.
It isn't. And I saw a video yesterday of two, I'm going to say middle-aged men. Don't know what their age is. They could be older, they could be younger, but they look middle-aged.
Right.
And they're musicians, and they are just loving Taylor Swift's new album on their stream, and I love it. I
Cool.
love it. It's just for everyone. It's not just for teen girls, but Taylor Swift is smashing it. Doubt that she listens to the podcast, but if she does, I would...
If she does, hi Taylor.
Hi Taylor. I die happy. And the other thing about just women bossing it is... women won the Women's World Rugby Cup. England did. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
And I saw 2 of the games in person because England were hosting. There was a few games at the Exeter Chiefs Stadium, Sandy Park. And I saw the quarterfinals. I saw New Zealand versus South Africa. And oh my goodness, what a game. And just, I think seeing the haka. So if no one knows what the haka is, New Zealand have this kind of ritual conjure thing that they do before a game in rugby. It's kind of a tactic of intimidation, and the men do it, and it's slightly different to what the women do because there's different hackers. And seeing it in person gave me chills. Yeah.
Your video did look impressive.
It was so good. And then I went and saw the semi-finals with my dad in Bristol with New Zealand and Canada.
Okay.
And that was a brutal game. Canada beat New Zealand. But just, yeah, I think anyone that says, oh, women's rugby isn't the same as men's rugby, oh my goodness, you are totally wrong. Like the power behind those women when they tackle, when they scrum. And they've just converted me now to a massive rugby fan. And I now have a rugby app that tells me all the latest scores. Me and my dad have bonded over rugby. And I just think what a, amazing thing I think the England Rugby Union have done for women's rugby in terms of how, they just sold out the stadium, Twickenham, for the final, 82,000.
Look out for Lydia's Rugby Minute podcast coming soon.
I'm not an expert. But anyway, Auntie, that was just me going on about how women are a boss. Do you want to introduce the theme of our topic today? Even though it'll be in the heading of this clip. But
Yes, yeah. So we are talking about work, going to work, balancing work whilst looking after your mental health.
yeah, so I think this was a request?
It feels like it was.
Yeah, I think because we've done.
Feels like it's come from somewhere.
Yeah, we've well, obviously it came from somewhere.
As in external to our
Very
creative brains. Creative.
It's a bit of a stretch. Anyway,
And at this point, Lydia has lost her train of thought, so she's quite.
I think it was a request because we have talked about mental health. I think before, like we've done well-being, we've done podcasts and stuff like that, and I think it's a good shout to do something specific to the workplace, and they wanted kind of tips and advice on if you are struggling with mental health, how to navigate that whilst being at work, and you brought up a good kind of idea, Andy, about whilst looking at yes, you do have them from time to time. Which is we'll look at kind of if you're already in work and you struggle, like you started struggling with mental health or your mental health's declining, but also those that have been, not in work either for a really long time or not been in work at all, and they have mental health difficulties, and the advice about how to manage your mental health to get to a place where you can go back to work.
Yes.
So I thought we'd start with if you're
guide us through it. Sorry, interrupted. Guide us through it.
Sorry. If you're currently, so we're going to go into if you're currently working and struggling. So I think the first one, I think it's not just related to work, but it's related to mental health and well-being overall. But I think sometimes in the workplace we forget to do this, is building daily routines within your work. So it's like starting and ending with a work ritual to kind of get you into that mindset of work. Especially if you work in an environment where it's quite heavy. So if you're working with individuals, so whether it's social work, teaching, it can be quite heavy hitting stuff that sometimes you just don't want to take home with you because it will affect your mental health. So it might be, so for me, my ritual is I check my emails at the start of every day. That's what I do before anything else, is I just go through my emails, clear out my inbox of kind of the junk, stuff that doesn't need a response. I do wish that reply all function would be removed sometimes. But yeah, it's just, things that don't need a response from me, clear it out so it looks a little bit less kind of intimidating. And at the end, it's kind of, I just, for the last 10 minutes, just kind of start unwinding, packing things away so that I'm ready for work. So daily routines.
I just lost control of my inbox years ago. I don't even try.
To be fair, I was speaking to Jeremy. When you move into housing management, I understand what he means about keeping on top of your inbox. It is more of a challenge now. And also one thing that I struggle with, and it's something that I'm trying to do as well for my well-being in the work, is taking 5-minute micro breaks during the working day. So it's this typical culture is you work until your lunch, you take your lunch break off and you keep working. But actually, you can't focus for 3 hours straight. You do need regular breaks. And it is good to just kind of take you away from the screen, do something to kind of help ground you or look after yourself. So whether that's getting a cup of coffee, make yourself a cup of tea, just like walking to the other end of the office or corridor and back, doing some breathing exercises, just something that will just help you just refresh and just keep your energy levels going and just looking after your overall well-being. So it's something that I'm trying to do. I'm not very good at.
And I guess if you don't do that, the chances are you are naturally going to need that break anyway. And you're naturally going to lose your attention span. You're naturally going to
not be your best.
End up being bored and staring at your screen or opening up random websites or whatever.
Or looking at holidays. I do that. I do work, I promise. And the other thing is, I think, again, it's a good advice overall, but I think especially during the working week is prioritizing, your health, because there is strong links between your physical health and your mental health as well. And I think when we're in work, I've been guilty of doing it, is prioritizing work above everything else over yourself, and therefore not prioritizing, your physical health. So it's just ensuring that you get enough sleep, you're hydrated, you're having regular meals, and you're moving. So you're going actually on your lunch break is going for a little walk, even if it's just 5 minutes, just to get your body moving if you're at a desk job, for example. Hydration, again, I'm not the best at that. You know, I do tend to forget to, you know, keep my fluids up. I might not have a drink all day, which is pretty bad. And then I wonder why I'm tired, you know, or not feeling great towards the end of the working day.
Just drink coffee. That's hydrating, right?
No.
Okay.
When I'm talking about being hydrated, I'm
Soft
talking about
drinks.
kind of like, you can have squash if you don't like water, but it's water, squash, anything that is not got any caffeine in.
So the iron brew I've got on the other side.
Yeah, that's not hydrating.
Okay,
No.
cool.
Do you want to do the next one, or are you just happy with me?
Just go for it.
Andy's struggling today, bless him. The next thing I think is really important is managing your workload and time. Now, if you're struggling with your well-being or your mental health, and you've got a long list of things to do, it can be really daunting, especially if you suffer with depression or anxiety, and just the slightest thing can trigger you, like if you've got a long to-do list or a really heavy inbox. So using task lists with priorities is just like, it's been a life changer for me. So if no one, again, we're not sponsored by this, I'm not saying, you know, I don't make any money from selling this idea, but it's the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Okay.
When we went on that training together with Chris, changed my life in terms of how I manage work. You can buy a book. Some people do the training. And basically it's just things that you can do to be more effective, so it's weighing less on you. And one of the things they talk about is using priority lists, so using the 1, 2, 3 system. So 1 is, it needs to be done today. 2 is, you know, it's important as long as it's done in the next few days. 3 is as long as it's done within the next week or 2. And obviously your 3s eventually become 1s, but it helps you just manage your task list of knowing what is urgent and needs to be done now. Because I've definitely had a task list that is about 3 pages long. And as someone that, you know, has general anxiety disorder, just seeing that and just feeling so overwhelmed can just trigger a bit of an anxiety attack. So doing it this way has just really helped me feeling less overwhelmed with the amount I need to do.
Now, I know that Lydia literally just used the words, we're not trying to sell anything. If you are interested in all things 7 habits, we do offer training around 7 habits for highly effective people. Check out ymcaexeter.org.uk/trainings for more information.
Look at that. It's so professional, isn't he? And then also just kind of breaking larger tasks down. So if you've got a project to do, so for me, I had to create some 4 courses that we delivered at stage 1. And I was just like, wow, that's a lot that I need to do. So I kind of broke it down to several tasks of being like picking the topics, researching those topics, just gathering loads of research, and then organizing that research and just breaking it down, because just looking at a task of I need to create something, it's going to be really daunting and overwhelming, and it's not good for anyone's mental health. So just breaking it down into smaller tasks just can be really helpful and help you feel like you've done something. The worst thing is if you've just put down, I need to create this or finish this project or do this project, and you've been working all day and you've not ticked that off your list, and you feel like you've not been productive, you've been lazy or whatever, you don't know what you're doing. Imposter syndrome comes. And but actually you have done stuff that leads to that project. So breaking it down into smaller tasks on a to-do list means that you can tick things off, feel a sense of accomplishment, which is always good for you.
And I actually did something like that yesterday, in that I found out about a task. I had a deadline because of holidays. Deadline was going to be sooner than expected. Actually, by breaking it all down, it was quite clear there was only really 2 or 3 tasks that needed to be done, and they're all tasks that I could do quite quickly.
Yeah.
So therefore, all of a sudden, I was like, you know what? Well, why am I panicking about this? This is easy.
It's doable, yeah. And I like the little segue you brought in there about deadlines. So you mentioned that you had a deadline and you had some holiday coming up. And sometimes our bosses don't necessarily know what's on our plate completely. So they might set us deadlines for certain tasks, or they might not give you a deadline, and that's stressing you out. And it's something that I've learned in my time working for the organisation that we work for, YMCA Exeter. It's just saying to my manager, if they've given me a task, okay, could you just tell me when you want this done by? And if it's like tomorrow, it's just like, okay, well, I've just got these other tasks that also need to be done tomorrow. So could you just help me figure out what is a priority for you for me to complete for tomorrow? And can these other tasks then be pushed back to a different deadline? And having that conversation with your manager, you know, I've never had a negative experience with a manager going, you need to do it all. They've just gone, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, I forgot I gave you these other tasks. Yeah, this one actually is a priority over all of them. So if you could do this one for tomorrow and the other two, if you could just get them done within the next 2 weeks.
And I guess if the manager in question is actually wanting it all done, it's then up to them. You've given them the power to say so over what is the priority, and you've kind of opened yourself up to that conversation rather than them going, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And also, it's just like sometimes your manager will go, oh, do you have capacity to do this? And if you don't, say no and just say, really sorry, I don't have the capacity to do this. However, I'm happy for you to take something off my plate and give it to someone else if you want me to do this task. And that's just been really helpful of being like, oh, okay, what other things have I given you? Oh, okay, that doesn't necessarily need to be you. Could you ask this person to do it and forward it to them and they'll complete it so you can do this task? And just having those normal conversations with your kind of manager, which you would have with your colleagues, just helps release the stress.
And that's probably a good example of setting boundaries.
Yeah, it is. Boundaries in the workplace. So lovely little segue. So setting boundaries. Just realised what you did there. So if you're unsure about your working hours and you're a bit like, well, I come in at 9, but my boss seems to stay till 8, and I'm not sure if I need to stay till 8. It's just, you know, setting and defining your work hours with your manager and your HR team. It's just being like, it's just a bit unclear what my hours are. So can you just redefine those hours for me so it's just a bit clearer so I can ensure that I'm going home on time? And also, if your hours are not working for you because you've got stuff going on at home, or you're not feeling well mentally, or you're having a bit of a struggle mentally, it's just speaking to your HR team and your manager just to say, hey, look, is there a way that we could just look at my hours and just change them slightly? So still doing the same hours during the week, but just moving them so I'm a little bit more productive. So, for example, if you struggle getting up in the morning because you suffer with depression and you just get really fatigued in the morning, and getting in at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. is a bit of a struggle, it's just saying, hey, would you mind, would it be okay if I come in at 10 and finish at 6? Just because I find that I'm more productive later on in the morning and going into early evening than first thing in the morning. Because your manager and your HR team want to get the most productivity out of you. So it's just trying to speak to them to see if you can negotiate your hours. The worst case scenario is they say no and they go, look, we can't do that, but let's look at other things we can do to help you. And it's just, clear to set boundaries, and you can also change those boundaries. Another thing that I think as an organisation, YMCA Exeter is really good at, it's been instilled in me from a very early stage of working at the Y, is home life boundary, a good home life work balance. And it's like when you finish work at 5, you turn your work phone off, you turn your laptop off, forget work, and you just go home and just spend your personal time doing personal things. And I think we now have everything on our mobile phones or our tablets.
So it's so easy just to double check your email or double check something on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah. And if you find that you're using the same personal phone as your work phone, is just seeing if you can get a cheap secondhand smartphone for your work phone and seeing if work may pay for that. If they don't, then just getting a cheap one for yourself so you can just have those boundaries better. And I know some people say, oh, smartphones now have dual SIM. I had a dual SIM smartphone and it was just so easy just to turn the SIM back on. Whereas an actual physical phone, I'm just a bit lazy to go get it and turn it on.
I did see something about how putting up boundaries can be really helpful. Oh, not boundaries, just making it slightly more difficult for yourself. Can be really helpful if you're someone with ADHD, in that because it kind of removes the ease of being able to do something quickly.
Yeah, I like that. The next one is improve your environment. So it's just making your environment and your workplace something that you want to work in and that's going to help you be productive. And that just doesn't make you feel depressed. Like if you're in a cubicle, working in like a cubicle and it's just grey or white, it's like adding a bit of colour, bringing some plants in. You know, there is nothing, unless it's stated in your policy at work, which I'd be very surprised if it is, there's nothing saying that you can't spruce up your desk.
Yeah, a lot of places let you bring something in, even if it's a photo, even if it's, just a plant or something to get on your desk.
Yeah. And if you're working remotely, it's just ensuring, like, say, you're working from home, which a lot of organizations since COVID have done because it's cheaper, is having a designated workspace. So the worst thing is to do is work where you hang out most of the time on the sofa or in your bedroom. Is just ensuring that you've got a table or a desk that is designated to your workspace. And what I will say, unless you're a business owner, you're self-employed, if an organization is saying that you need to work from home, there should be something where they say that they can provide you a desk and a chair, if it's stuff that, you know, you need to have in order to do your job. So it's definitely speaking to your employer about that. The next thing is making sure you build supportive relationships within your workplace. So whether that is a trusted co-worker to kind of chat about how you're struggling, you know, it's important that you've got someone at work that understands what you're going through, that can support you. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, having a co-worker, so someone at the same level as you, is not necessarily going to be able to change things for you in your workplace, but it's someone that can, you know, you can offload to, you can talk to, but bear in mind that they're not be able to solve any of your problems or change anything for you. So I think it's trying to build kind of a good relationship with your manager if possible. Now, if your manager isn't someone that is very supportive, I'm sure there is a chain of command that you can go through if needs be. So double check your organisation. But I do think it's important that you share your needs with your manager, because, you know, they're not going to be able to support you or make any alterations if they're not aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
They can't read minds, people. Take it as someone that's a manager. I can't read my colleagues' minds.
You sure?
Yeah. I did say once, I was like, oh, I wish, you know, I'd love to if I could. And then I was like, would I want to be able to read people's minds? So yeah, it's just showing them, like, you know, I need some quiet time to finish this, or could I go to a coffee shop where there's less distractions for me in the workplace to finish this task, etc., etc. So I would go with the solution in mind when, excuse me, when speaking to your manager. If you just go and present them with a problem, they're not necessarily going to know the right solution for you. So going like, I've got this problem. This is the solution that I've come up with. Is this doable? And if it's not, then you can compromise together to get a solution.
Yeah, it kind of put the onus on your boss to say yes, no, or let's talk about something else.
Yeah. And also, depending on where you work, is offering if there's any external support that the organisation can offer. So for us as an organisation, you know, I think me and Andy are very fortunate that we work for a very loving and just care for their staff organisation, in the sense that we have clinical supervision. So we have someone external that we can go to support and talk about things. So it's just double checking with your organisation if they've got a scheme like that.
Shall we? Can I suggest that we talk a little bit about practicing self-care outside of work? You say you've been partly aware over time.
Yes, no, that's fine. Just the one thing I would like to say before that is knowing your rights is really important as well. Of knowing what your rights are within an organisation, to ensure that your organisation or the place that you're working are not taking advantage of you and are not doing things that are in your best interest. So Citizens Advice is the place that I would recommend to go to know your rights and to know what is within your power to do if you are struggling with your mental health at work. But go for it, Andy. Start with practice self-care outside of work.
So, he says, looking at the notes that he has obviously paid a lot of attention to. Stay socially connected. It's good to have a life outside of work. In short, you know.
Yeah, because if you've got nothing outside of work, then
things to do, people to say hi to, have some sort of connection that isn't work focused. That way, when work does feel a bit much, there's other people around you. They are good relationships to take care of and stay connected with.
Yeah, and I think because you can have friends who you work with, but sometimes you're always going to end up talking about work, which isn't healthy for you. So yeah, having people that aren't connected to your work for sure is helpful. Now we move on to if you're returning to work after kind of mental health leave. So this could be someone that, you know, hasn't worked for years or hasn't been at work at all. So sadly finished kind of studying, wasn't able to work due to mental health difficulties. So what I would say is, which is really important, is something that we tell our young people, is before you return to work, is get a treatment plan from your clinician, so your GP, your mental health worker. ensure that you've got the right things that you need in order to better your mental health, whether that's medication, whether that's therapy, whatever it is just making sure you've got a treatment plan that works for you. Because the worst thing is to go back before you're mentally ready and before your mental health is a manageable level.
So include your GP, include everyone involved in looking after you in that process.
Yeah. If you're returning back to work after some mental health leave, so you're going back to the same organisation, is speaking to your manager about maybe a phased return to work. It's just seeing like, I want to come back full time, just not quite ready. Is there a way that I can slowly be phased back into working full time?
And that could look like 2 days a week, 3 days a week, so on and so forth.
Yeah. The next thing, which is very similar to what we've all talked about, but it's talking to your employer. So if you're returning back to work after mental health leave, or you're going to join an employer and you've got some mental health difficulties, is ensuring that you disclose, and share only what's needed with your employer. So if you just started to work saying, hey, just to let you know, I do suffer with depression. This is what it looks like. This is kind of what I do to help myself. Just so then your employer is aware, so they can support you the best that they can with you returning to work or working for them as an organisation. It's also important that if you are returning to work after being off with mental health difficulties, is to ensure that you've got a return to work meeting booked in. So some employers can forget that that's something that they need to do. We're all busy, we're all humans, we all make mistakes. So it's just reaching out to them before you fully return and just say, hey, I'd find it really helpful if we had a meeting with HR and management about how I can return to work and the plans around that before coming back.
And those are plans to make sure that everyone knows exactly what it is that you need to do as well as possible.
Exactly. And again, remember, these conversations that you're having with managers, employers, HR, just ensure that they're solution focused. Because if you just go in saying this is a problem, this is a problem, and this is a problem, they are going to be like, okay, we're not really sure what we can do to help you here because we're not sure what's right for you. So ensure that you've got some...
We are also humans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because what they might say might be helpful, won't be helpful to you.
Yeah.
The next thing is kind of arranging kind of practical support. So again, if you are going back, we talked about a phased return, maybe doing some lighter duties. But what I would say is to some of my young people is that they think going back to work is going to solve all their problems. They're going to not have any mental health difficulties. And it's just not the case. So what I would say is don't rush if you're not ready. So when looking at work is looking at something that is doable for you in the space that you're currently in. So if you're like, do you know what? I can't quite work full time. Apply for jobs that are part time. Apply for jobs that are going to be something that you are able to do with the mental health difficulties that you are experiencing.
Whilst working is great, we do sometimes fall into the trap of seeing work as the end goal. And if you're working, then you've got money coming in. Your mental health is absolutely fine. You can do whatever. Actually, there's a lot of other things to kind of balance in regards to kind of doing that work thing, like waking up and dragging yourself to the bus stop or into town or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And what I would say as well is, your managers should have regular check-ins with you, and just to ensure that, you're doing what you're supposed to do, make sure, you're progressing the way you should be. But if you feel that you need someone that needs more regular check-ins than what they're proposing, it's just ask your manager, or, the organisation you're going to. Like you say, like, we're going to have check-ins once a month. Could I have mine fortnightly, please? Just because I just want to make sure that I'm on the right track and that I'm looking after myself. And if you're joining an organisation and they've not talked about one-to-ones with your manager or check-ins, is ask them and just say, what's your policy around management one-to-ones and check-ins and meetings and supervision? And if they go, there isn't one, you can ask if there could be one for you. Just say, look, I need this, this and this.
Now, I'm going to be incredibly unfair at this point and ask Lydia if she is to kind of either pick out one or two points that she would really love to kind of share, or if there's a way that she can like sum everything up really nicely. I'm just very aware that we've talked for quite a while about
I know, but it's
all of this.
important stuff, Andy.
So I will be putting notes attached to this podcast wherever it is that you find it. So there might be notes about things that we've not talked about yet.
No, that's fine. There's two things I think's left Three things. I'll go with three
Okay.
things because the others we've talked about in the previous
Your
section.
top three things.
My
that we've not
top
talked
three
about yet.
things is to monitor and review. Okay. So it is a case of if you're returning back to work after being off, or you're going to an organization and you would like reviews, like I said, is scheduling a review after 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
See how you're getting on, have a review, schedule your next one. So you know when your reviews are, so you know then that you've got time to raise any concerns or difficulties you're experiencing, and just being honest where appropriate. And if if needed, reduce your hours if you can afford it. In case of a crisis, so sometimes we might, think we're ready to go back to work. We have another crisis. So I would just say it's important that you've got a crisis plan. So who to contact, emergency numbers if you're not doing too well, and obviously ensuring that you've got the crisis services. So it is the first response service in Devon. It's making sure you've got their number saved so you can call them if needs be. And what I would say is just making sure that you keep any records or adjustment meetings and clinician letters saved in a folder, to keep all your important documents in one folder when it comes to work and your mental health. If you have meetings with your manager, ask for them to have minutes sent to you, or if they're not making minutes, is asked to make minutes of the meeting. It's important that you have records of what was discussed and what was agreed upon. So you've got it in writing. So if you feel that they're not meeting the stuff that was discussed in a meeting, then you can go back and say, this is what was agreed upon in our last meeting, is just something that I would say is super crucial.
Yeah.
And that is all the top tips.
All very wise. I'm sure there's
What
going to be stuff that we've not covered. Check out podcast notes below for
got
more.
Your coffee, got your shoes. It's time to dive into the weirdest news. Alien squirrels or a cat that talks.
Lydia.
Yes, Andy.
You are someone of pop culture knowledge.
I believe so.
Have you heard about the actress called Tilly Norwood?
No.
You've not?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so she doesn't exist. So there is a she does exist, kind of doesn't exist.
She either exists or she doesn't, Andy.
She's an AI actress.
A what?
A AI actress.
Okay.
Now, she's a generated character. She's based on a London. She's depicted as an aspiring London-based actor who enjoys shopping and iced tea. And I believe I'm already referring to her as she, and as she is
in person.
Her representatives?
She has representatives? You mean the creators?
Well, the creatives involved are trying to get actual kind of acting accreditation for her to be an actor in actual movies.
But I am confused though, because obviously in animation you can have an AI person in animation because that's kind of easy because it's computer generated.
Yeah.
But in a live action movie with real people,
the idea is that she will be classed as an actor in those movies.
Yeah, but she's got to be on the screen.
Yeah.
But how? So if we were here, how is she going to be here?
I'm presuming it'll be done post-edit.
What's the point of that?
Or it'll be done on like one of those really big screens that we use in Star Wars TV shows.
Do you know what? As someone that uses AI to help them like streamline things, help them with their work, I just feel that's taking it a tad too far, in my opinion.
So do a lot of people.
Yeah, because I just think like it's taking jobs away from people in the sense that, if all of a sudden...
Literally is in this case.
Yeah, if it takes off, like we're not going to need, the Brad Pitts or I'm trying to think of actors now off the top of my head, or Florence Pugh. Like, we're not going to need them. And they are phenomenal. Well, Florence Pugh, Brad Pitt in some movies is phenomenal at acting. And they're going to be taken away by an AI person. That's just not fair. Just not fair.
So look out for more AA.
Look out for some AA.
Oh, it's getting well this morning.
Yep, some batteries. Some AI actors. And I think when we were growing up, Andy, I say you grew up at a different time to me because there was an age difference.
There's a mild age.
But when you were younger, did you ever like role play or kind of pretend that you were a pirate trying to look for buried treasure?
Probably.
I remember very
was a while
clearly,
ago.
I got my parents to draw a map.
Oh yeah, it's like the whole
Treasure.
Xbox of the spot thing.
And then I pretended I was a pirate to find this treasure. And it was normally fake money or fake something.
I mean, that is a lot of commitment. But
Yeah. Oh, it was
yeah.
just like literally a circle and then they drew an X.
Oh, well, you know, whole fake money thing.
So, it was just probably some marbles or something. So there has been some treasure found.
Okay.
Okay, some long lost Spanish treasure worth an estimated $1 million. That's £740,000 if people wanted the exchange rate. Has been discovered off the coast of Florida. So more than 1,000 silver and gold coins were found by a team of specialist divers in a stretch of water aptly known as the Treasure Coast. It was actually known as the Treasure Coast, and they actually found treasure in it.
Actual treasure.
Yeah. It's believed that they were minted in Spanish colonies of Bolivia, Mexico, and Peru, and were bound for Spain on a fleet of ships also carrying jewels back in 1715. But the precious loot spilled into the sea when a hurricane wrecked the ship.
So when they say specialist divers, do they just mean treasure hunters?
Yeah, so they have like different divers. So you've got like some divers that are specific going into shipwrecks and looking for.
And they actually found treasure, like a lot of treasure.
Yeah. And the picture, we'll put the link in of the article in the show notes. But the picture now, I personally, it's obviously a bit degraded. It needs a bit of a clean up. But for me, that just looks like some stones. But apparently,
it really does look like
stones. It looks like clay. It's been tested and under the microscope because obviously it's been in the water, so it's gone obviously a bit rusty. You know, sometimes you get those 1Ps that have gone a bit rusty. That's what's happened. So it needs to be cleaned up essentially. But yeah, some treasure was found. So you know, Pirates of the Caribbean is real.
And on that note of hope, thank you for listening and or watching to What's at Sea. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on your favourite podcast provider or find us on the YMCA Exeter YouTube channel. Catch you next time.
Catch you next time, guys. Thanks.